1, 2, 3, 4. Mike and John got it going on. Mike and John got it going on. Mike and John got it going on. Mike and John got it going on.
It's all rolling downhill.
Well, rolling uphill is a lot tougher than rolling downhill, so we'll take the easy way and roll downhill. It's Mike Marino and John King. Mike and John got it going on, brought to you by our friends at Firehouse Doors. Got a big lineup today. Kevin Mondlock is going to join us from the Severe Weather Network here in Livingston County. They do some great work.
We'll also be talking with Rich Perlberg, The Less You Know, and our exclusive interview with Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin, which we did yesterday, and you'll notice because suddenly our clothes will have changed to what we were wearing yesterday.
Dang, I forgot we were supposed to...
Where's wardrobe on this thing?
You know what? That was one of those things people were supposed to pick up on their own.
That's right.
But you blew it.
Who's our continuity director? They didn't pick this up? Come on. Hair's
a little different. Yeah. Beard's a little longer. Oh, my. We'll have the answer to last night's trivia question, which had to do with things guys do to improve their appearance.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Just one answer. 25%, a quarter of guys do this in an attempt to improve their appearance. We'll get to that and check out some of the answers in just a little while. In the meantime, a look at Gig-O News brought to you by Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton.
All right, here's what's going on. As the House Select January 6th Committee gets set to hold another hearing today, Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin says while few minds may be changed, it's important the facts come out. She said, I think it's important the country has a record. In an exclusive interview with the Mike and John podcast, which you'll hear here in just a few minutes, she said, I think if you read any history or take any history class in high school, you know that when we have this kind of violent event in our nation's capital, you have to have a record. When asked if she thought that it would change people's minds about what happened that day, Slotkin said she was skeptical, but did she think it was important to do? Yes, replying that in particular, the report that the committee produces at the end of the process, which is, of course, the intent of these commissions, is to write a report and then to make sure that there's full accountability. The full interview with Congresswoman Slotkin, which also features conversations about gun control and inflation, is coming up. Republican State Representative Mike Muller of Linden was recently named Legislator of the Year by the Michigan Sheriff's Association. Muller, a retired Livingston County Sheriff's deputy, is serving his second term in the Michigan House, representing people in southern Genesee County and northwest Oakland County. He was recognized in part for spearheading a plan to offer additional funding for local law enforcement agencies and provide more tools for officer recruitment and retention. Earlier this year, Muller received awards from both the Police Officers Association of Michigan and the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. A local nonprofit, meanwhile, has concluded another season assisting Livingston County's homeless population. The Severe Weather Network of Livingston County, a 501c3, provides emergency winter sheltering services for Livingston County homeless adult men and women. On April 30th, they wrapped up their 6th winter shelter season, which began November 1st, a month earlier than in previous years. A total of 1,227 nights of emergency shelter were provided to 57 adults who ranged in age from 18 to 72. Prior to 2017, Livingston County had no congregate homeless shelter. Due to funding limitations and restrictions on the number of hotel nights per voucher, homeless individuals had no options during the coldest months of the year but to shelter in automobiles on the streets or in tents. The board is currently in the planning stages for next season. Due to a significant drop in volunteers and overall funding, over the summer months they'll be petitioning churches, businesses, and community members for volunteers and funding commitments for the upcoming season. And we'll have more about that also coming up in today's podcast. And that's what's going on.
And news brought to you by Cooper and Binkley Jewelers, Brighton's preeminent jewelry store with a commitment to customer service, community involvement, honesty, professionalism, and of course exquisite jewelry. Mark and Barb Binkley pride themselves on, don't touch that camera, offering something special for everyone. Father's Day is coming up this weekend, by the way. They recognize customer satisfaction is the sole purpose of their business, offering a unique mix of exceptional quality jewelry, value, and all in a warm and engaging environment. Stop by today, check out what they have in store. Designs by Simon G. Zagani. They can even custom design or reimagine a piece of jewelry you have in your jewelry box or around your neck or on your wrist, even on your ring. Stop by and see them today. Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton, or online at cooperandbinkleyjewelers.com. Should we go to yesterday's clothing?
Sure.
Let's do the quick change and wear what we were wearing yesterday
Right.
for our interview with Elissa Slotkin.
And it went something like this.
U.S. Representative Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin joining us here on Mike and John Got It Going On. Good morning, Elissa. How's it going?
Good morning. I'm good. I hope you guys are well.
Well, we're in a basement doing a podcast.
Yes. When are you coming for the tour?
If you invite me, I'm happy to come see the luxurious basement.
Okay. She's now feverishly making a note saying, please make sure that I'm not available to go into a basement. I am better than that.
With two former radio guys.
Yeah.
Actually, we're probably pretty safe down here. We got a lot of topics to cover, obviously. So,
But before we get to the serious stuff,
Okay.
I think we really have to ask you about Gizzard Fest.
Gizzard Fest.
Yes.
Yeah,
You were recently, I think that's in Potterville, is it not?
it is.
Yeah.
All right. How many people were there?
A lot, actually. It was a big, there's a parade and a whole kind of like little market that they set up
Wow.
for vendors, and it was just like felt like a big chunk of the community was there.
Yeah. Now,
It
was
turned out
the-
a bunch of volunteers. It was great.
Yeah.
Was there a Miss Gizzard? Like a Miss Gizzard competition?
There was a couple of different folks. I don't think it was Miss Gizzard, but there was some royalty, and there was a giant float of a chicken. Of
Right.
course, you have to.
now we want to ask you, we don't want to put you on the spot, but we're going to put you on the spot. Exactly what is a gizzard?
Well, you know what it is. It's a little organ in the chicken.
Yeah.
We were debating on the team, like, what does a gizzard actually do? But it's basically, the ones that the team partaked in, we had, it was, they were like chewy chicken nuggets.
Ooh.
Basically.
But
It's
they're-
deep fried. So
right.
Come on.
They're deep fried.
Everything's
You
deep fried.
could deep fry a bicycle tire and it would taste pretty good. So
Exactly.
So this is basically the filler in like a chicken nugget, right? I mean,
it could be.
it's kind of like, I use that too. Just grind it up a little bit, put it with the white meat, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of my younger staff members who were sort of having the realization that this tastes really a lot like a McDonald's chicken McNugget, and what does that mean about what's in a McDonald's
Right.
chicken McNugget? They were sort of, the light bulb was going off.
Right.
No, I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea.
We get look. Again, things taste good when they're deep fried. Don't ask any questions. Just eat it.
Kind of like a hot dog. You really don't know what it is, and
yeah.
you don't want to know.
Well, now, of course, Elissa, your family knows all about hot dogs, but
Please don't turn the conversation.
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm sure we can say that there are no gizzards in hot dogs.
That's right.
Okay.
All right,
On
now the serious stuff.
yeah,
We'll go from gizzards to guns.
yeah.
How about that?
Your Safe Guns, Safe Kids Act was recently passed. Part of the Protecting Our Kids Act passed through the House. It's a common sense piece of legislation, basically just saying, hey, gun owners need to safely store their firearms. Why is something that is so common sense so political?
Well, I think it's not that this individual bill is very political, and to be honest, this one came directly out of my experience of being the representative of Oxford, Michigan, and the exact scenario we had in Oxford where the parents of the shooter, left the gun open. Their child had mental health issues, and the child took it to school, used it to kill 4 of his classmates. And now the prosecutor in Oakland County is trying to go after the parents, and they have been in jail since that incident. There's just no case law to go after those parents in a really clear way. So we came up with this law, right? I don't think that there's much controversy about the specifics of this law. It's just the issue of gun safety legislation, period, that sends people in Washington to their corners. And I think the good news that I really felt last week, and I'm feeling it again this week, frankly, since the Uvalde shooting, is I've had more calls from like staunch, hunters, sportsmen, Second Amendment, conservative Republican folks who are like, look, I enjoy what I do with my life. I enjoy the weapons I have in my home. but that doesn't mean I don't care about protecting our babies. And I think that's been really heartening to me, is I've gotten more of those calls in the past 3 weeks than in the preceding 4 years.
So, again, the legislation that was your legislation, the Safe Guns, Safe Kids Act, it was rolled into the Protecting Our Kids Act, a package of bills that did a number of things, such as raising the purchasing age for semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21, some other issues. It passed through the House. Its future in the U.S. Senate is less certain, where you're going to need 10 Republicans to sign on to this in order to break through the filibuster. Do you sense that there's been any movement on that in terms of getting 10 Republicans to say, hey, something as simple as maybe we should say that, if you can't buy alcohol till you're 21, maybe you can't buy a semi-automatic rifle till you're 21. Yeah,
the kind of new thing that's going on right now is that we actually do have agreement in the Senate on it's not a revolutionary massive package. It's a moderate compromise package, but we do have agreement, and we have at least 10 senators 10 Republican senators who helped negotiate it and have signed on. And I think that's where I come from on this issue is, look, what I think, as someone who grew up with guns, as someone who carried a Glock and an M4 in 3 tours in Iraq, what I feel like we should be putting in place may be different than someone else, but I will take any forward movement on this issue. And right now we seem like we have a deal, and it's aiming towards, it looks like, a vote next week in the Senate. So if that holds, and that's an if, but if that holds, it'll be the first gun safety legislation that we do, particularly around the issues of mental health and keeping people who are mentally ill away from weapons in a generation. So it's a big deal if it happens, and that's what we're all focusing on.
Well, let me ask you this: as far as the age from 18 to 21, some may argue that, well, my kid can go off and fight for the country, put a gun in his hand or her hand at that age. Are you getting that type of questioning as far as the age goes? Has that been a question, an issue?
Yeah. There's always going to be someone who pops up and says that. I just want to be clear, though, that right now, because of a weird kink in history, to buy a handgun you have to be 21, but to buy a semi-automatic you could be 18, which I don't think most people think sounds right. And then, secondly, the argument on drinking or any of those things. You can't rent a car at 18 by yourself. You can't do a bunch of things. You can't drink at 18 by yourself, and there's a bunch of things that we withhold from folks who are 18 years old and doing other things. But I'd be even willing to consider, if there was a strong push that someone who's professionally trained in the U.S. military to handle a weapon needed an exception and wanted a weapon, then I would be open to that, because they're a young person who's proven themselves capable. But I don't think anyone feels great about the mental health of our young people right now, and I don't think that raising the age to have it match a handgun is as detrimental as maybe people think it is.
Well, the last 2 mass shootings, major mass shootings, I should say, because there's mass shootings, unfortunately, almost every day in this country. But, the Buffalo shooting and then Uvalde as well. These were both young men under the age of 21. And many of the other previous mass shootings involved men under the age of 21 with a semi-automatic rifle who were doing this. And so, again, what seems to be common sense has gotten mixed up in politics. And the bill that you were talking about, the forward progress that you were talking about in the U.S. Senate, does not include, my understanding is, does not include raising the age to 21. But as you were saying before, any progress, you have to take it.
Yep, and what I feel like my job in this conversation is to, if the Senate has a deal, it'll come back to the House, since it's a different version than what we approved. It'll come back to the House, and what I'm spending my time doing in the Problem Solvers Caucus, in this bipartisan caucus I'm in, equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans, we're having conversations with the senators who negotiated this thing now, so that it can be bipartisan when it comes back to the House. And I might have Democratic members who say, well, this bill doesn't go far enough for me, so I'm going to vote against it because it's not enough. And I am just over that. I just am any forward progress at this point If you have to look the kids in the eye in Oxford, you will take any forward progress.
Sure.
And I guess if people that are decrying extremism in the GOP on issues where it's my way or the highway, I guess on the Democratic side that is also an issue. It cannot be on this issue particularly. It cannot be my way or the highway. Any forward progress has to be something that you would want to be a part of.
Yep.
Speaking of my way or the highway and extremism, the January 6th hearings that are going on, there's certainly been a lot of that's come out from that so far, and I think there's probably going to be a lot more that comes out from that. I guess just generally speaking, what's your take on what we've learned so far?
Yeah, where do you see this going?
Yeah, I think that it's important that we have a record, a historical record of what happened on January 6th as one of the people that, ran and locked herself in her office and watched all my other peers, including the ones who pretend it didn't happen, who watched them and their staff haul ass around the Capitol to get away from these people. I think it's important that a country has a record. I think if you read any history or take any history class in high school, you know that when we have this kind of violent event in our nation's capital, in the Capitol building, you have to have a record. Do I think it's going to, change everybody's mind? No. But do I think it's important to do? Yes. And I think in particular, the report that they produce at the end of this process, which is, of course, the intent of any of these commissions, is to write a report and then to make sure there's full accountability. Right now, we've had a lot of people who came into the Capitol, who were part of the riot, part of the insurrection, who were, violent and inside the building. They've been prosecuted, lots of them. But, like always, there's not a whole lot of accountability for the people who organized it, for the people who incited it. So I think that's the conversation that needs to be had, and it needs to meet a legal standard, as everything does. But for right now, I think it's just an important conversation for us to be having as a country.
There's a growing consensus, though, that, and where do you stand on this, that the person that maybe incited this, the President, Trump, that he should be indicted? What do you think about that?
Well, I think we have to look at, it has to meet a legal standard. And look, I was in the Capitol. We were all watching his speech live when he was encouraging people to go, and they did go. And he didn't, now we know from his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, that there were just hours and hours where he just was, the president refused to get on TV and calm things down. And where I actually went up to a couple of my Republican peers this past couple of weeks after the text came out, because you can see and read the text, and they called the chief of staff and they said, please, Mark, get the president on television. This is not right. Get him to do something. And he just didn't. For hours, and 5 people died. So it's not, that it was just a cosmetic thing. So, there has to be accountability, not just for the lowest level folks, but for anyone who organized it. And I think we have to watch it, and we have to see if it meets a legal standard.
Let me ask you this, Rio, before we switch gears here. As someone who's had a gun in her hand, has fought for the country, has been in the military, and you're running and hauling ass to get to your office, what was going through your mind? Was it just that this is unbelievable that this is happening, or?
Well, just to clarify, I wasn't in the military. I was a CIA officer that was trained to travel along with the military and help them understand the groups to go after. I was trained in weapons and defensive driving and combat medicine for an extreme situation, right? If we were being, ambushed or attacked, I wasn't fighting on the front lines. I had to be able to protect myself, and luckily never had to do that. The military did that for me. But I think the crazy thing was using the training that I had to go on those 3 tours to Iraq in the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And in particular, the thing they drill into you, particularly when you were preparing for, we had a lot of roadside bombs and roadside ambushes going on at the time of my first tour. The mantra that they drill into your head is get off the X. Like, if there's an attack happening, you get off the bullseye, you get off the target, you get off the X. And I was, really close to the floor of the house and heard screaming and yelling and breaking glass and something, a big boom that I my brain interpreted as a flashbang, a crowd control measure. Later found out it was a gunshot, but my brain just went into get off the X, get the hell out of here. And I turned around and, hauled it back to my office and locked myself in. And then I got a panicked call from one of my fellow Michigan representatives saying, I can't get back to my office. I don't know. I said, come here and we'll lock ourselves in. Did I ever think I'd be using that or click back into that in the U.S. Capitol? Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, right, you said it's one thing if you're in Iraq on a mission to have that feeling. It's another thing when you're in the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
I think it's a safe place. But.
I know we only got for a little bit more here, and I think one thing we did want to ask you about, another thing, day to day. I mean, we're talking about gun control, and we're talking about, January 6th. Important issues, no doubt about it. Day to day, what people are feeling is these inflationary pressures, high gas prices, high food prices. Fingers being pointed in all directions on this issue. Is there any relief in sight, and what's going to bring it?
Well, the thing that, certainly on gas prices, which is undergirding everything, it's the number one thing I hear about. People in the district that I represent drive sometimes on average 40 miles one way to work. So you can imagine that it's affecting every single person that I talk to in some form or fashion. If there were a silver bullet to bring down the price of oil, then we would have fired it, right? There would have been someone saying, okay, let's do this immediately. The thing that I would like President Biden to be a bit more aggressive on some of the things that he did, opening up the Strategic National Reserve. He can do that again. He can do that and open it for longer. He can suspend the federal gas tax, which is a bill that I introduced. That's like to maybe save us about 19-20 cents a gallon. It's not perfect, but it's something. There's a few other things that he can do. The one that I'm watching, though, is that he's now announced he's going to Saudi Arabia. This is very interesting, right? He has been kind of cold with the Saudis. They're not the nicest bunch, and they've been, we have credible information that they basically assassinated an American citizen, an opposition member, and but I think that the president flying to them is a really important signal, and to me, it's clearly about turning on the taps, turning on the gas, the oil. The Saudis are purposely keeping production low because they know that the price of gas being so high really helps them make up for all their losses under COVID. So to me, like if in terms of hopefulness on bringing down the price, one, we got to take the federal gas tax, make it a holiday, suspend it. And then two, I'm really interested to see how much we can turn the taps on in places like Saudi Arabia.
What's his hesitation on putting that pause on the tax for the gas tax?
I mean, it's revenue for the federal government, right? So when you want to spend, you have to actually have revenue to do that, and it's not perfect policy. I'll be the first one to say that. If it were pain free, we would have done it. But it means if we want to pay for other things, and Lord knows the federal government has lots of bills, then you need that revenue coming in. But the governor of Michigan has said that she supports it. We've been pushing it. It's myself and Dan Kildee from Michigan who are the sponsors of it, and Senator Stabenow on the Senate side. So it's a very Michigan-focused initiative, and I think it might be not imperfect, but it's something to help.
Is there any thought about bringing in the heads of the oil companies and bringing them in front of Congress to talk about their role in this? Because they're making record profits on this, and that there is a notion that somehow they are profiting off this and keeping these prices high.
Yeah, we know that's true, because the price of a barrel of oil is the same as it was, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, but the price of gallon of gas is about $1.50 higher than the last time. So they're definitely also making up their losses. We suggested this, coming in front of Congress, but also the president rounding them up and just having a closed-door conversation in the Oval Office. I mean, use the power of the office to throw your weight around and make it so that these companies feel, especially the American companies, feel like, hey, this is my country here that's really suffering, and I need to take a more moderate stance. So this is another thing that we've been pushing President Biden on, and it's just, Look, maybe I'm a more aggressive person, but I want to see more action and more energy around bringing down the price of oil.
Well, I think most of us stand with you on that. It's getting the president to see that.
Well, and he's one part of a large.
He's part of the equation.
Part of the equation.
Like you said, throwing his weight around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's get the cojones out and do something here. I mean, we're looking at they're talking about the price of gas going up to $6 a gallon here in Michigan by within the next month or so. I mean, we've seen these jumps, so something needs to be done. Whether he can do it quick enough, I don't know. And even the trip to Saudi may not do it.
Yeah, I think my approach to this is like, look, a lot of issues in this life are complicated, but get caught trying, right? I mean, just try, just throw something against the wall and see what sticks, and just be working until you figure out that magic formula that helps the consumer. And I think that's what I would like to see more of.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin. We really appreciate you talking to us, and we hope to talk to you again and catch up on issues once everything is resolved. Once gas prices are down to $2 a gallon, and the war in Ukraine is over, and Republicans and Democrats have all come together.
You bet.
So we'll never talk to you again.
Basement, guys.
All right, thanks. I'm dressed better today than I was for the interview with the Congresswoman.
You know what I noticed too? Your hair looks a lot better.
Well, yeah. I had it done. I went to the salon.
We'll get to today.
Well, you look younger.
Do I look younger? I try. A day older and a little younger looking.
Yes. So thank you to the Congresswoman for giving us some time to talk about those light, fun, airy issues. Fun.
I don't know. Gizzards was kind of fun.
Well, okay.
All right.
Have you ever had a gizzard?
I haven't. Do you think someone like just the sound?
That's why I asked.
Here's the thing: just the sound of the word gizzard.
Well,
it just does not sound like something you should eat.
Gizzard is like it's the organ, isn't it? Isn't it like the lungs or something?
I don't know. I looked it up yesterday, but I forget what it was. It's an innard.
Yeah, the gizzard, also referred to as the ventriculus, gastric mill, and gygarium, is an organ found in the digestive tract of some animals, including birds, earthworms, some gastropods, some fish and crustaceans.
Tastes like chicken.
And it's gross.
But it's a delicacy somewhere.
Oh, I see. Since chickens don't have teeth, they use abrasive materials like pebbles, grit, and sand, along with enzymes in the gizzard to break down their food. So it's a part of their digestive tract.
What if chickens had teeth? They wouldn't need a gizzard.
They would not.
See?
Gizzard,
yeah. No, I'm not eating any.
But I just wonder if the first ones are like, whoa, what's this? I think I'll deep fry it. These are delicious.
I don't think so.
So, okay.
All right, I want to take a look at some of Wednesday night trivia answers from last night.
Yes.
To improve their appearance, more than 1/4 of men, so over 25% of men surveyed, said they have done this. Some of the answers: used hairspray, gel or mousse. Hairspray?
I don't use hairspray.
Well, I guess this could be at any time in their life. Right. They have done this. I use gel once in a while, or now they have
product. They call it product.
Yeah, you want product?
I gotta put some product.
Got some
product.
Pedicure. I don't know many guys that have done this. Maybe it is something that they do, but they just don't talk about it in those guy circles. You're at Buffalo Wild Wings watching a game. Hey, by the way, I just got my pedicure done yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice?
A little mani-pedi.
Use self-tanning lotion. Do you remember the tanning stuff of the 70s?
Yeah, it was horrible.
It made you look orange.
Yeah,
like instant tan, or I forget what it was called.
Right.
But there was some funky stuff. Waxed, dyed their mustache or beard. That kind of becomes obvious since it's right on your face. Trying to cover up the just for men for your beard. Power push-ups before going on a date.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to do them right in the front door before you ring the doorbell and knock.
Well, now they have those Ring cameras, so I think your date would be like, no, I'm not answering.
Look at him go. He's starting to pit out a little bit.
Or they'd be like, well, welcome. If you're doing the Rocky one-handed ones or whatever,
Sure. Mrs. Kravitz across the street gives you a phone call. Yeah, there's some guy doing push-ups on your porch. He's in your driveway doing plyometric push-ups. Wear a tie. bought a fancy sports car.
Sure.
That makes me look better.
Okay.
You know what?
Sure.
You gotta admit.
Sure, I'm bald and fat, but check out my car.
Got a nice ride. Shaved their back. Got a haircut. Wear shapewear.
They have
They do have that
Spanx for
stuff on
guys.
yeah, and I'm not sure what they call it. Not wear their glasses. Yeah, I hated wearing my glasses. Dyed their hair, used Grecian formula. Is that still around?
Grecian formula.
Grecian formula 16. The first 15 didn't work. Buy a new outfit, manscape,
Mm-hmm.
and the answer? Let's hold off.
I need a weed whacker down there. I ran out of line.
Little T. You got to be careful with those.
Hey.
What if the battery ran out? Doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
Should we give the answer?
Yeah.
You want to give the answer? It was
our-
shave their chest.
Ah.
Shave their chest.
Okay.
So that's your answer. For yeah, after a while,
It's
it's itchy. I just
Yeah.
Hey, you put a little Grecian
So,
formula on.
because I have a hairy chest. Hello, ladies.
Okay.
I don't want to turn you on too much. But anyway, yeah, I apologize for that. But if I've ever had to have like an EKG, you know, and they shave to put the little things on. Now they don't have to do that now. I don't know why they've improved the technology.
Better
they seem to be
sticky
able to
things.
do it through the hair, I guess. I don't know.
Well, in
But then when
CPR
they would do
class-
that, and then it would be itch. When the hair was
Yeah,
starting, it'd be itchy, and I hate that.
Well, it's just like when I tried to grow the mustache for Movember back 10 years ago or whatever it was. That just itched like crazy to me. Having the hair on my face.
Well, that's why I got rid of mine.
Yeah, now you know more.
See, I just saw a picture of myself with a mustache. I mean, I've only been without a mustache for about a month now,
Yes.
after 35 years of having one. And I saw a picture and I go, oh, that guy looks weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I
you-
like the clean shave.
Now you still look weird just without a mustache.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so kind. What a great partner I have.
Don't forget, coming up July 9th, we are celebrating the podcast, you, the viewers and listeners, with a great free evening in downtown Howell. We call it Mike and John's Summer Splash Party, and you're invited. Yes, you.
Get your finger out of my face.
All right,
Get
I
your
got it.
finger out
It's
of
all
everyone.
backwards.
Get your finger out of everyone's face. Okay, that's nasty.
Come to the party. July 9th, downtown Howell at the Howell Theater, the historic Howell Theater. We're going to show a movie. We're going to give away freebies. Cooper and Binkley Jewelers is going to be giving away some shiny stuff after the movie.
Right.
And
Right.
we're working on some details. The new designer, we have a new designer for our gear. A special designer called in for this event.
Mm-hmm.
For our shirts.
Do you want to say who it is?
No, it's a special designer.
You're making fun of me. Shocking, I know.
No, we have
Because-
actually we have a team of designers.
Ah, yes, the team.
creating the Splash Party T-shirts.
Right.
We're only going to have limited edition.
You're making fun of me because we were trying to find out what would be the best color to have on
Right.
shirts,
And
and
then-
you were trying to guess, and I said, "Hey, why don't we?" And we're thinking something that's female friendly. I
was
said,
the
"Why don't
first-
we ask a woman instead of two guys trying to figure out?"
Female friendly.
Yeah.
Well, what if a guy wants to wear the shirt?
Well, that's what it has to be female friendly.
Oh, I
something a
see.
guy would wear.
It can be unisex, hot-looking
Right.
shirts.
Because you said pink originally, and then guys have to go, "Oh, it's salmon. This is a salmon shirt." You know.
Well, don't fear the pink.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Ah, yes.
But we're not going with pink.
No. Mainly because they don't have pink.
They didn't have sky blue.
Yeah,
We
the
thought
issue
powder
was
blue.
It,
Powder blue
it
could be
finally
cool.
came down to, okay, what do you have?
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Let's start with that.
You know, it's been tough because all the people that make pink or powder blue or sky blue shirts don't want to do that anymore. So we had to go a different route.
Yeah.
And-
We're having something unique.
Yeah. Unique,
Yeah.
as our designer says.
Right.
So,
Jeannet.
yes, the great Jeannet.
The great Jeannet.
From La Bemoan. The basement. Jeannet in the basement.
Hello there.
Downstairs Jeannet. So you've nailed down the color.
Yeah, starting with it. What colors do you have available? That was my unique contribution to this conversation. I said, well, why don't we just start with what you have available? And then we get, instead of us guessing, what about mauve? Nope. What about this? Nope. What about this?
Battleship gray.
Yeah.
No, not real female friendly. But
Well, I don't know.
I
I think women, they like a black T-shirt or a gray T-shirt. They would like those T-shirts.
Well, we were thinking summery. It's a splash party.
I think that was the thing. We wanted something that was splashy. That's what Jeanne said.
Jeanne said splashy. And what else did Jeanne Chicky...
It was, yeah.
I forget the response that the great Jeanne said. But...
How could you forget?
A special edition, Mike and John got it going on, summer splash party T-shirt in the works for those that come to the...
We have settled on heathered bright turquoise. That was the one that I preferred.
That's what Jeanne said.
Yeah. We had some different things. We could have gone with sapphire blue or the
sapphire. That's fun to say.
This is the kind of things that's going on behind the scenes
yes.
of the podcast.
Is that it right there?
No,
this
that
one. No.
This is the what do they call this?
They call it late for dinner.
Yeah. Hey, ho! It's some sort of blue.
Yeah, it's an okay blue. But
it's Heather. This is Heather Sport Royal.
No, we didn't go with that.
We did not. I mean, that's that. What I thought.
The great Jeanne did not like that.
Jeanne said no. I think we're going to go
ixnay on
with the heathered bright turquoise.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's the color of the shirt, as determined by the great Jeanne, and we will have those limited edition.
Yeah.
For the first certain number.
Of people. We're working on details. We're going to have full details at some point before
July 9th. Just mark it on your calendar.
We'll have full details July 8th or so is when we hope to
July 8 and a half. Somewhere in there.
The day that morning of, we'll let you know. But no, save the date, July 9th. Howl Theater.
Free movie. Freebies and a chance to win some great stuff from Cooper and Binkley Jewelers.
Absolutely.
All right, we're getting into our community spotlight segment today. With the weather the way it's been, and hot and humid, and you never know when a thunderstorm's going to come around. Time to get you updated on some things happening here in Livingston County.
Right. Now, the Severe Weather Network of Livingston County is a nonprofit organization that provides emergency winter sheltering. So they provide shelter over the winter months for Livingston County homeless men and women. And we're going to be talking with Kevin Mondlock, who is the treasurer of the organization. They recently wrapped up their season.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks, Kevin.
The call is very important to me.
Oh,
I don't think it is because you didn't answer.
Try it again.
I have to try it again.
Do I have to try it? Do I have to use my Midas touch?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna go right to recent calls, John. I'm really picking up. Look at.
Thanks for calling.
See, my call is very important.
Yeah,
it's really not that important to him.
All right, now let's just see.
Okay, here we go.
Let's just see.
Can you have the great Jeanne make the call?
Let's have the great Jeanne. Here, let me see the number.
Well, it's
know.
right there.
Sometimes it just needs the magic touch.
I see. You get your fingerprints all over. God knows where those fingers have been.
All right, here we go.
Well, you might want to put it
Thanks
out.
for calling.
See, you're not as important
The
as
call
you.
is very important.
No, we're not.
Please leave a message at the tone, or you can send me a text.
Oh,
Enjoy
here we
your
go.
journey
Hold on.
today.
You're gonna figure that out. Go ahead. Let's see. I know you're the expert. Go ahead.
Hello, Mike and John podcast.
Good morning, John. This is Kevin Monmouth with the Severe Weather Network. Sorry I missed your call.
Well,
that's okay. We know it was important to you.
You said so right in your message.
It said it on there. Hi, Kevin. This is Mike, too. So let's talk about the Severe Weather Network Livingston County Homeless Shelter and what you guys provide.
Okay. You just want me to start?
Well, 3, 2, 1. No,
right,
you guys wrapped up your season on April 1st, and this was the longest season you guys have had. It was a whole extra month, right?
That's correct. We went 180 days this year. We opened on the 1st of November and we closed on the 30th of April. Yeah. We did that because, we look at the weather trends from the previous years, and November has always been, we had more snow in November the last 2 or 3 years than we did in December. And it was colder in November than it was in December. So that's the reason that we moved for adding the additional 30 days.
Now, prior to when the Severe Weather Network got up and running in 2017, there really was no one place for homeless individuals in the county to go. Basically, they would sometimes get vouchers for some motel nights from various organizations, but there was no one organization that said, hey, come here, we're going to make sure that you have shelter. That's something that you guys have stepped up and done over the last 5 years. And with COVID, of course, that made it all the more difficult. But as you prepare for the next season, it sounds like you've really got to step it up in terms of trying to find some more contributions and volunteers.
That is correct. That is correct. We start each year, we start each year in the faith in the community of Livingston County to step forward with our time, talent, and treasure to bring us the opportunity to meet the mission of the Severe Weather Network, which is to provide shelter during the coldest months of the year, and we then provide connections to those action agencies within Livingston County that can bring our guests on their journey to end their homelessness. Very few people go straight from homelessness into stable housing, but our goal is to bring people from homelessness into suitable housing so then they can move into stable housing.
So when a candidate comes to you for housing during the winter, where do the candidates end up going? Are these just people who volunteer home space, or is there actually a specific shelter that they're checked into?
Yeah, so thanks. That's a great question. We provide shelter at the Chilson Hills Church at the corner of Brighton Road and Chilson Road.
Yeah.
And the basement there has been reconfigured as a shelter. And so we provide, there are 4 living spaces where we provide cots. And then from there, we provide an evening meal, morning breakfast, showers. And so, we consistently are in one place now. In the past, going all the way back, there was a program prior to us called the REACH program. And with REACH program, churches would step up and use their facilities to house those that are homeless. But they would have to travel from church to church. And as you know, transportation is a challenge. And so that became something that was difficult to continue. And so that's when a group of concerned pastors and Love Inc. gathered together and formed the Severe Weather Network, which was a network of churches and concerned members of the community to address those that had no place to go during winter.
So in any given year, how many people are we looking at finding some shelter for here in Livingston County? I mean, it's a pretty wealthy county, so you just...
Right. I mean, I think the definition of what is homelessness, I think people have a conception of what a homeless person is, and then there's the reality of what a homeless person represents.
That is correct. So every year, the HARA, or the Housing Authority within the county, is required to do what's called a point-in-time count, which is at that point in time count all those people that are homeless. And a majority of them are homeless, but they are sheltered in a program.
So they're not living on the streets necessarily, but they have no permanent place to live.
They're the vast majority. But the problem is that bottom majority who cannot qualify for any of those programs, they still are homeless and they still need to be served. And so the number of people who are living outside that's one of the, there's a program where there's a point in time count where you will go out and physically go to those places where people normally, homeless people normally will camp or seek shelter. And that number, Mike and John, that number is about 400 in Livingston County. right? 400 homeless people in Livingston County, in one of the wealthiest counties in Michigan. And as I've shared with Mike Murphy and members of the county commission, the last thing you want to do is have on the front page of the Press Argus an article about somebody dying of hypothermia in one of the wealthiest counties in Michigan. And what that does to the community's image throughout the state and the nation, because if a business is thinking about moving into Livingston County and they find out that they have all this money, but they still have people dying of hypothermia.
Well, I think it goes to, I think it goes again to the conception of the county, as you said. It's one of the wealthiest counties in Michigan, and yet we still have several hundred people who are homeless, and a lot of that has to do with, even though we are the very wealthy per capita, for a lot of folks who it's very difficult to earn a living wage if you live in Livingston County. Most people that live in Livingston County go work elsewhere. But we have a lot of people that work in the service economy, work in the food service industry or elsewhere. They're maybe not making as much money as we'd like to think they are, and a lot of these individuals, they find it it's very difficult to and for various other reasons to earn a living wage, to earn enough money to be able to afford a home, or some sort of shelter, be in an apartment or something like that. So you're right that I think the is that a rooster?
That is a rooster.
That is a rooster. Well, it's time to get up, I guess.
I thought you were on safari or something.
No. I live across the street from the Log Cabin Inn.
Oh, okay.
And we've got we've got several chickens, roosters. Geese,
Yes, you do.
So we're producing a lot of eggs.
Oh.
And so
All right.
And
Do-
the proceeds of the eggs are being donated to the severe weather.
Oh, I was going to ask. See, all right. There you go.
Yeah, you don't want to hang on to them that long. Kevin, I know you're looking for volunteers, and describe what a volunteer's job might be in this to help out with the severe weather network here in Livingston County.
So the homeless shelter has always been run by volunteer base, and the volunteers are asked to do several different things, and we train them on each of these aspects of the shelter. So the first set of volunteers can be somebody who wants to make a meal, and then they deliver the meal for the evening or breakfast in the morning.
Gotcha, yeah.
Okay, and there's no client interfacing with that. Okay, so they come in, they drop the meal off, and they go.
Right.
Okay, and the second tier is going to be volunteers that will welcome the guests into the evening. They will then do all the necessary check-in paperwork. There's all so that's the second. The third is a group of volunteers who will then in the welcoming process, we go through everything they bring into the shelter. I mean, we literally go through their bags in their entirety, so that we can understand, are they bringing into the shelter things that shouldn't be in the shelter?
Right.
Because especially for somebody new into the shelter, they don't understand that they can't bring in any liquids into the shelter. And we have that so that we know that if there's a vial of something that we have no idea what it is, they cannot have that in shelter.
Right, you want some safety constraints.
Well, I mean, I think, these are the concerns if you're running a congregate shelter where people are staying. I mean, you have liability issues you have to think about as well. And so these are the concerns. Right, so in other words, I think for anyone who might not be thinking about this too deeply, they might think, oh, you just open up a shelter and you welcome people in and what's the big deal? But there are a lot, as you've been illuminating here, there are a lot of details that to be able to not you can't just open up a space. You have to make sure that people are accommodated comfortably, appropriately, safely, right, correctly, and that takes a lot.
How can folks find out more about becoming a volunteer, Kevin?
We have on our website we have a whole section on what it means to volunteer at the shelter, how do you get trained to be a volunteer, and then we use a Sign Up Genius form that will allow people to just plug in what role they would like, what volunteer role that they would like to play, and then a volunteer role that they will be filling that night. And then the second, and then they will be able to pick the date that they want to do this. So that's the process of becoming a volunteer. We also go to all the churches and several of the businesses, and we make that available for their community to have a volunteer experience in the shelter. Because John, one of the things, Mike, is that the guests that we serve are impacted by the community providing them with safe shelter and help connecting with those organizations that will bring them to end homelessness. But the 450 volunteers that we've had, and we for the 450 volunteers that are part of the network, the impact that's on their life to be client interfacing and to hear their stories and give the volunteers an opportunity to be a listening ear to people who are in trauma. So it's impactful for our volunteers because they get to do something that they don't normally get to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rewarding in that sense for them as well, knowing that they help somebody in their time of need. So we encourage people to check out the website and look into if you have volunteer time available, if you're recently retired or just like to help out. Go to the website and you can find out more.
Yeah, and throw out the website for us, will you?
It's Livingston SWN.org.
All right. Pretty simple. So LivingstonSWN.org, the Severe Weather Network, Livingston County, and all the great work that you do. Kevin Mondlock, the treasurer of the group, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about this. And let's hopefully get people will start getting on board and helping out to get together prepare for next season.
All right, Kevin. Thanks so much for joining us. Go attend to that rooster and the chickens. All right. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye. All right. We're going to check in with Rich Perlberg in just a couple minutes. Of course, we're brought to you by Firehouse Doors.
Right. Located in Livingston County and serving residents for the past 24 years. They're family-owned. They strive to treat each customer like family. And veteran-owned as well. Mike Witt, a proud U.S. Air Force veteran. They're your one-stop shop for residential, commercial, and rolling steel overhead door needs. And for the past 21 years, Firehouse Doors has been Livingston County's only distributor of CHI overhead doors. Call Firehouse Doors today, 810-599-7480. And each week, as we did just yesterday, we draw out a winner that will get a free garage door inspection. And as well, they get the TPC card. That's 10% off all future garage door needs for life.
Wait a minute. Can we change that to the TPCFL card?
TPCFL?
Yes. 10% card
Sounds
for
like some
life.
sort of league.
Yes.
I play for the TCPFL.
Yeah. I'm a
linebacker,
backup shortstop.
Linebacker and backup shortstop. It's a different kind of sport.
Linebacker.
And we combine baseball and football.
It's a shortstop.
It's different.
Linebacker.
It's interesting. You got to check it out.
It's time for the Less You Know with Rich Perlberg. Good morning, Rich.
Where you guys been?
Where have we been?
We've been busy. Is where we've been.
Jeez, we went. We didn't forget you. I swear.
Well, have you talked to the congressman yet?
The Congresswoman, yes, we did.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Yeah.
She wouldn't stop talking.
And then we talked.
So she's my lead-in? Is that the deal?
Well, no, actually, a rooster was your lead-in.
Yeah, you're batting cleanup, Rich.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
As it should.
Yeah,
You're the headliner. They're just openers. That's all.
So you guys solve everything?
Did we solve
Oh yeah. The world is all fixed. The war in Ukraine is over. Middle East peace has been achieved, and
gas is now $1.50.
Yeah. We cured COVID, and it's all good. Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed. I mean, I have done that before, but usually it's been over bourbon.
Well, yeah.
We zipped right through this. So,
well, look, Middle East.
You don't want to talk serious stuff.
No,
you know what?
We've had enough serious.
The one
stuff.
thing we haven't solved is like the Tigers.
Right. Look,
Or
you can
any other
get
sports
peace
team.
in the Middle East. Yeah, how hard is that? But trying to get a good team into Detroit right now, good luck.
Yeah.
Holy cow! You know, I suggested we might talk about the pathetic state of Detroit sports, and then it got worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
They got beat 13-0.
I mean, that was horrible.
Yeah, my son went to the game last week where they lost. It was like a rain delay, and they still lost like 10-0 or something like that. I'm like, I probably would have left when the rain came.
Oh my God, they are. And I gotta tell you, I'm known for being kind of a buzzkill and a negative guy, but
We should invite you to our splash party.
Yeah.
That was about 5 or 6 years ago after the Tigers started the rebuild, and I posted someplace that I said, it's going to be a decade before Detroit has a winning team again. And people said, you're so negative and all that. I think I was probably over-optimistic.
Yeah, you were a bit optimistic. This is pretty bad.
I think since Mike Ilitch died, that the fire for his teams.
Well, Chris Ilitch doesn't really seem to have that fire. You're right.
No, I mean,
Mike Ilitch was like a baseball guy. He loved baseball. You sense that from him. He had a passion for it. His son is like, it's another business.
Yeah.
Did he play baseball as a kid?
Yeah, and Ilitch
Mike
did.
Ilitch did,
Yeah,
yeah.
he played. I think he played minor league ball, if I
he did.
remember.
Right. Well, you know what? And I was thinking about it. Is there any common tie as to why Detroit sports are so bad? And I can't come up with one, so I'm going to leave you with a less you know. But Ilitch has been one exception, though. He's been an owner who's been committed to winning.
Right.
Well,
The Wings, the Tigers, they failed to win a World Series, but they were damn good during Ilitch's.
Well, with you bring up the Wings, and there's Yzerman's looking for a new coach, and I believe Sergei Fedorov was
Somebody
in-
that's been mentioned,
he's like
yeah.
the one that's.
Surprised? I mean, don't you have a? Wasn't the knock on Fedorov is that he was unbelievably talented, but didn't necessarily bring his A game all the time.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know people said that, but the guy was phenomenal to watch. Whether he was bringing his B game or not, his B game was better than many's A game. So
There you go. Yeah. But I don't know if great players, Yzerman, Yzerman's not the coach, so he's a GM. I don't know if great players generally become great coaches.
right. It's the rarity, I think. You're right.
I mean, Sparky Anderson, Scotty Bowman, they were not great players.
no. And then you got Alan Trammell, who was eventually became a Hall
Great
of Famer.
player, but
And- that was some rough stuff.
He did not have a Major League Baseball team.
That's
But Gibson went on to manage, and he had some success.
He did have some success.
Just after Trammell, isn't Alan Leland came? Well, maybe not exactly, but the Tigers weren't supposed to do much, and then Leland took them to the World Series.
right.
He was. I wish he was back in.
Well, I know, and you know what?
Fun to watch.
And I have to say, mea culpa. I was one of those. When I look back, Facebook has that annoying, memories feature where you can see what you posted years ago on this date.
Yeah.
And so I'll look back and I'll see of me posting complaints about Leland. Now I'm like, I
miss
kind of
Leland.
miss.
He was such a prototypical baseball guy, though. He just was. If you're going to write a screenplay about a baseball manager, you couldn't do worse than pick Jim Leland as your model.
I think he was such an old school guy that some of it was like, well, you got to keep up with modern times, but what he did was obviously something good for Detroit.
It's just. I mean, the Lions, of course, are the Lions. I mean, they're just pathetic. But, I did something, and this may damage my contract with you guys. But I actually did some research.
Here comes the party pooper.
Wait,
in the face.
what? Research?
Buzzkills here.
Research?
On the Lions?
on Detroit sporting teams.
Yeah,
all right.
They had one winning team among them in the last 5 years, 6 years. And the Pistons have had made the playoffs twice in 13 years and got quickly eliminated both times.
Right.
I mean, they're just, and you mentioned the Red Wings, and I had hope with Yzerman, although as little as I know about sports, I know the least about hockey. But I got, Yzerman, didn't he rebuild Tampa Bay?
He did.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about hope. Yzerman, there's hope for the Red Wings. I feel like Yzerman, if
they
there's...
still finish closer to last
I
place
know.
than the playoffs this year.
So what? Hoping over here.
Old number 19.
I'm hoping over here.
I just wonder what the deal is. I have a theory, partly is what I call home team bias. You're aware of your home team's problems. That's why the fans say, the officials are biased against our team. The sports announcers are biased against our team because you don't pay any attention to any of the other teams, so you don't know that they have the same complaints and heartbreaks. But I just can't figure out why Detroit is so consistently bad. I mean, Tampa Bay, what type of sports town is that? And
they're in the playoffs.
In the finals.
And they're in the finals.
They're a pretty good sports team in
in
town.
In what world is Tampa Bay a better sports town than Detroit?
I don't know.
Hey, wait a minute, though. The Tigers are not in last place. Thank God for the Royals, all right?
No, I mean, it's incredible. Kansas City was supposed to be doing something.
Yeah, so a team actually worse than we are.
Yeah, but didn't Kansas City seem to have that for years, like playing small ball, if you will? They were just doing the basics and winning games, and they could always. Kansas City's coming to town, the Tigers are going to lose that series. So it is nice to see that we're ahead of them now.
They had a lot of trouble, even when they were much better. They seem to have trouble with Kansas.
Yeah.
But the Royals had a little bit of an uptick, and then they just fell. But yeah, the Tigers aren't in last place. But that's the rallying charge in Detroit. We're not in last place.
That's it. You got it, baby.
Missed it by that much.
We're only 11 and a half games out.
Perhaps the Tigers are holding on for the second half of the season.
Well, yeah.
We're
the old second half.
Yeah. That's
Wait till after July 4th.
I mean, I give them a break. They weren't that strong a team. I mean, they didn't have that good a year last year, and then they've lost so much. I mean,
we haven't been hitting this.
They've also got an entire starting rotation on the injured list.
Yeah.
Well, the financials of baseball have changed so drastically, I think, in the last even just 10 years that, I mean, teams, it just seems to me that if you're not sitting on a big pot of cash and you can't go out and buy the team that you want, because very few teams, it seems to me, and this is just my disinterested from the backseat view, it seems like very few teams do it the way that it used to be done, which is you fill your farm team and you bring up your talent and you develop them and you bring them up, you create a winning team and you put them on the field. And now, I don't know that that's as possible as it used to be.
Oh, I think I lost you guys.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I was just babbling.
Yeah,
I was just babbling on. It's all right.
Farm systems.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, the thing is about the money, and I think there's some truth to that. The Yankees, of course, and the Dodgers.
He does talk for
big
himself.
markets, big monies, and you're always impressed with these small market teams that can be competitive. I've always been kind of a Minnesota Twins fan.
And here they are in first place.
Yeah.
They seem to plug along without the big payroll. But it's not like the Tigers didn't spend money. I mean, Javier Baez, that Rodriguez guy who just kind of walked away from a $150 million contract right now.
Yeah. That's kind of what we did.
That's big money, and they spent a lot. I mean, you guys probably got to work all year to make $150 million.
Oh, God, yeah. It's tough, but we did it.
That is the money's unbelievable. I mean, the Tigers offered Scherzer $140 million a few years ago. He said, no, not enough.
And I almost feel like that was the moment that the team kind of tipped around. And you're right, they did offer him it wasn't like they tried to cheap out on him. I mean, they did offer. They stepped up, and he was just like, I don't know. Obviously he made the right decision for him. It certainly worked out for Max Scherzer.
And there was Justin Verlander. Yeah,
but it was a point. They spent a ton of money on Cabrera, and it was long-term guaranteed, and they lost the bid to Scherzer.
Right.
And that's when they finally said, we're not going to keep paying high salaries for a team that's going to finish in third place, and they started breaking up the team. So, I mean, you look at the Tigers that are ex-Tigers that are starring across the majors: Scherzer, Verlander, J.D. Martinez. Those are excellent them players, and they were all wearing the Detroit uniforms.
Yeah.
The
Remember?
Tigers had to let them go.
Yeah.
You know, you are a buzzkill today.
Yeah,
right?
really, man. What the hell? Let's lose him now. But hey, what about those Lions?
No.
You know, they're the team, but this to me epitomizes, if not Detroit sports, the Lions. And again, forgive me for doing research, but the team that's had the most winning record seasons in the last decade has been the Lions. Under Jim Caldwell, they had winning seasons for 4 years.
Right, that's why you had to get rid of him.
So that's the Lions parody.
You're right. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing about the Lions seem to be a team apart, or a different type of losing team in that it's I don't know what it is about the Lions, if they are cursed or what it is, but it's just I feel strongly that the Lions will never not be the Lions, quote unquote.
Well, you have the Ford family.
That's what I'm saying.
There to spend the money, and Bill Ford wasn't into spending money. And I'm old enough to go back to when the AFL started as a rival league to the NFL, and they held their own separate draft for college players. And so college players, for the first time, came out of their senior year, and they had a choice. They could either go to the NFL or the AFL. The AFL started spending big money, and the Lions said, we're not going to spend money. So they kept losing all their draft choices. And so the talent that the Lions would have built their team up with, because the Lions were pretty good in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, that was also 60 and 70 years ago.
But they wouldn't bid on players, and the Lions lost their top draft choices to AFL teams.
Right.
And I don't think they've been any. You know, there was a meme on the internet just a day or two ago, oddly enough, that showed all 32 NFL teams, and it listed them, ranked them by number of playoff wins they've had in the Super Bowl era. And guess who was number 32?
No, I don't think I think we all know. If you get that one wrong, you're kicked out of class.
Here's the crushing thing. They were last with one win out of 32 teams in 50 plus years.
Dang.
The team that was next worst was the Houston Texans. They had 4 wins.
And they're a
Houston
new
didn't
team.
even have a team until 20 years
Right, exactly.
Well, now wait a minute. You know what we're forgetting here is the new league with the Michigan Panthers, aren't they?
Right.
I think they have a
Yeah,
pretty.
they won one.
Haven't they won some games?
I think they won one.
Oh, I thought they were. I thought
What's
they were
that?
doing
What's that
pretty-
league called again?
It's not the XFL.
No, it's the
It's called, we're not the NFL, not ready for a prime time league
Yeah,
or
okay.
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the players get paid like $60,000 or something like that. Everybody gets paid the same. Is it the
They're all
XFL?
hoping. I mean, they're all hoping
Oh.
that, you know, who was that quarterback who was playing arena football and was stocking grocery store shelves, and a year later he was stocking in the NFL.
Oh, that was Kurt Warner.
Yeah, it was
back
Kurt Warner.
in-
They made a movie
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. So, I mean, they're all chasing that dream.
Yeah.
But
It can happen.
You know, we
there's just
might
so
put the
much
pads
money
on.
being spent. There's so much money available in professional sports. I mean, look at how they've expanded. There's over 30 teams in every league. The Stanley Cup
the XFL.
playoff finals started last night. They will be playing hockey until the end of June.
I was going to say Balloonfest will be over by then.
Well, the Red Wings are on the Links.
So I mean, there seems to be an unending supply of. It's diluted a bit. I was going to say another unending supply of fan interest. It's diluted a bit, but it's still growing. I mean, the NFL went from 16 games to 17 games, and they've expanded their playoffs. There's just and they're always looking at trying to expand into Europe. So there's just a heck of a lot of money being made, and I just saw that billionaires are now looking at buying sports teams as a hedge against recession.
Wow,
Well,
So
not a bad idea.
maybe
All
we could-
right, so it's the USFL.
I guess
is
it's-
that what it is?
I guess it's-
How are the
Well,
Detroit? How are the Detroit or the Michigan?
I don't know.
think they're the Panthers. Because remember they had the Michigan Panthers back in the
Yeah.
80s. Hey, that was a winning team.
that was.
Because Bobby Hebert was
It
the
was also,
quarterback.
it was also 40 years
Yeah, it
ago.
was 40 years ago.
One of the top winning teams was in
Michigan-
that time when
yeah.
Detroit was the Michigan Thunderbirds.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was a professional bowling league.
Oh yeah, the Thunderbird Lanes. Yeah.
Michigan Panthers are 1-8.
Okay, so maybe maybe I was wrong. See, my research wasn't there.
1-8 there.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
But, you know, there was a Michigan Panther team years ago at I think it was called USFL.
Yeah.
And they played in the Silverdome, and Anthony Carter was on that team. Bobby Aber was.
Oh yeah, no, they were the Panthers. Yeah.
Quarterback, and they were good. I think they won the league.
They did win the championship.
I wish I wouldn't have thrown away my Michigan Panthers jacket. Could have had it.
Yeah.
This is much more fun than talking about inflation.
Yeah,
We haven't solved anything here either. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we've solved nothing again.
And we know less. Thanks to Rich Perlberg, as always. We appreciate it, Rich. Have a great week.
Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. All right. So before we wrap things up, our 2-cent history lesson for today. It is the 16th of June. Today is Fresh Veggies Day.
Favorite fresh veggie?
Cucumbers. You? I like my cukes.
Probably carrots.
Carrots would be on the list.
I like carrots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Celery gets stuck in your teeth. It's Bloom's Day. Celebrate things that bloom.
Bloom's Day.
Bloom's Day.
All right.
I don't know. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Career Nurses Assistance Day today and National Fudge Day. 1910 on this day, the first Father's Day was celebrated in the U.S.
Right.
Ties and socks, a popular gift back in 1910.
Still are. Like, oh, good. More socks. That's great. Thanks.
1929, Otto Funk.
Another shirt that didn't fit.
Otto Funk arrived in New York after walking across the country from San Francisco.
Didn't he do it backwards?
He did it playing a violin.
Oh.
He didn't know any tunes. Can you imagine walking that far playing a violin the whole time?
And I'm sure it was great violin
Oh,
playing.
and was there somebody following him, making sure that he was playing? the
Right,
violin
how do
the
you
whole
verify
time?
that
Or did he
record?
just say, you start playing it, then you walk, and you get to New York or San Francisco?
Right, you play it for a couple of minutes on your way out of San Francisco, then you put it down, you get in a bus. You drive to New York, you get a hotel room for a week or two, then you come out and then you walk down the street playing it. Oh, I just got into town.
Don't question Otto Funk.
This is me playing the violin.
1963.
Yes.
Valentina Tereshkova
Sure.
became the first woman in space as she piloted the Vostok 6. What did Valentina do for a living prior to becoming the first woman in space? She worked in a cotton mill.
Oh, okay.
Now you know.
Very Soviet of her.
Yes.
Da, comrade. 50 watts per channel, baby cakes.
1980. Baby cakes.
Don't you remember that commercial?
Yes. 1980.
Look it up.
The Blues Brothers premiered.
Yes.
Of course, it premiered in Chicago.
Well, yeah.
Sweet home Chicago.
You got my cheese whiz, boy!
Vince Neil of Motley Crue got married on this day in 1988. He married Charisse Rudell. What did Charisse do for a living?
She work in a cotton mill?
No, she didn't work in a cotton mill.
Okay.
Charisse.
Was it a dancer?
Nope.
Little club downtown?
No. She was a mud wrestler.
Oh.
Remember when mud wrestling was big?
So you're at a bar and you see some women wrestling in the mud and you think, that woman's for me.
Yeah, she's a dirty girl.
Literally.
Let's see what Charisse looks like. 1990.
Roxette.
Roxette.
You're a pig.
Thank you.
I'm
Roxette started
I'm
a
looking
2-week
it up
run
right
at
now.
number 1 this day in 1990 with the song It Must Have Been Love. Of course, it was from Pretty Woman. It was their third number 1, by the way.
It must have been love.
But it's over now.
Yeah.
And so is John singing. Thank you.
I can
2016.
I can keep going if you
no,
like.
that's okay.
Okay.
On this day in 2016, Meatloaf had to be rushed to the hospital after collapsing on stage while singing I'd Do Anything for Love. He
But he
dropped
won't.
the mic and fell.
But he won't do that.
But he did that.
Yeah.
They determined the cause. Oh.
Yeah. This is
Somebody
Charisse.
wrestle with
Yeah,
us.
Yeah.
Dehydration. Stay hydrated.
Well, yeah.
And
Kids.
finally,
Remember, kids.
2016, Amazon announced, we're Amazon and we're announcing, we're going to buy Whole Foods.
Yeah.
$13.7 billion.
Yeah. And we'll deliver it to ourselves.
Yeah, we will. That's your 2-cent history lesson for today.
Okay.
I think you learned a little something.
A little something.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap things up, we have to go to the mailbag.
Mailbag.
We have a communication from our good friend Todd.
What did Todd have
Packer
to say?
Todd. You know Packer Todd.
Sure, what's Packer Todd have to say?
It says, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just wanted to let you know I'm really enjoying the podcast. Looking forward to the Slotkin interview today as well, which you just heard.
Yes, you did.
I did struggle with how to listen to the podcast when starting. As you mentioned, I was one of those using YouTube. However, I can only, or know how, use that on my laptop, and access is restricted from work. Why are they restricting your access from work? Was there a little problem in the past? Is that what happened?
Other YouTube videos of mud wrestlers.
I also downloaded SoundCloud to my phone and used that, but I did not care for the user interface. Basically, I could not figure out a way to show the episodes in order other than popular. Anyway, I'm now listening every day on Spotify. It has worked out great.
Thank you.
Then I realized that's also the home of Joe Rogan. However, I'm going to stick with it, as I enjoy listening each day. So Spotify is an option. Works well if you want to give that as an option. By the way, says Mike, was old guy confused when discussing basketball players? Because you said Rick Mahorn was the mailman.
Oh, he was the postman.
It was Karl Malone.
Karl Malone was the mailman. Mahorn was the postman, wasn't he? I knew he had something to do with the mail service. Because he delivered baskets. Always count on Todd to correct me.
Well, yeah.
I got to have somebody checking me. He's like our Scopes guy.
Snopes. Yeah. Or Scopes. Whichever.
Well, back in the 80s in college, the term scope became popular. The girls would say, oh, he's my scope. It would be the guy that they would check out in the cafeteria.
Really? Oh, I see. Scoped it out.
Scoping them out, yeah.
Oh,
that's my scope.
Yeah.
I wonder how many I was their scope.
Yeah.
Not many.
For me,
Scope.
He
needs scope.
He's my Listerine.
All right, can we wrap this up?
Please, dear God.
Gosh, I need a day off.
Call Murphy's Family Auto scheduling appointment 517-552-3040.
With Mike and John. Tune in next time and giggle on.
Murphy's Family Auto open Saturdays 8 to 1.
Slow down.
Mike and John sent you. Tell them that. You save 5% off your bill. That's Murphy's Family Auto. Your car knows. Murphy'sFamilyAuto.com.
That's it.
Is someone taking a pee? Oh, that's.
I think that's the rain.
The sump pump.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
No post show today. I think we can go post show free today.
Post show free.
Yeah.
But the people are here now for the post show. They're all tuned in. There's many people. I think
there's
many people that come. They skip over the whole podcast. They come right to the post show because it's such engaging content.
It does sound like somebody's taking a pee. The sump pump does sound like somebody's taking a pee.
I'm gonna go.
It's a pretty good flow.
Yeah, they must be young. I'm thinking 35.
Yeah, it's not quite an 18-year-old.
This is the age right now. Sometimes you're in a men's room and you're like, well, that guy's got good flow. Wow.
My son goes, I think he's got a fire hose. I'm
you
like,
chipping the porcelain over there? What's going on?
You probably get a lot of spray back. That's the advantage of not having as strong a flow.
Meanwhile, old dribble over here.
Old dribble the king.
Come on, let's go. Oh yes, I'm sure you're quite the flow.
Let's not compare flow.
No, let's not.
Right. That's our post.
God,
You're welcome.
we should have listened. We should have listened to you and just skipped it.